Hey everybody, David from Flash by Vcyclenut here. Next system that I'm going to be testing on Manny's R9 is the Akrapovic full system. These are always popular on any platform, and there's good reason. They're well made, they always make good power. A little on the expensive side, but sometimes you get what you pay for. All the R9 systems are a little bigger than what they were on the MT09 because just in general, we're getting these high mount systems, get some good ground clearance. System weighed in at around 11 pounds on my highly calibrated bathroom scale. So I don't anticipate any problems. Akrapovic went to online instructions for this instead of the normal paper ones. No big deal. So I like that. And we'll get it bolted up, get it tested, see how it does. I'm sure it will do well. Are the factory exhaust gaskets that go between the head and the pipe. And you can see they're very thick with multiple layers. You can reuse them a few times and they seal well. They're a pain in the butt though, right? Because you stick them in and then they fall out. So what I always do is just swipe a little grease on them and then that holds them in place and it burns off the first time that you start to bike. Use that, push it up against the head and it'll stay there like magic. Tip from your Uncle Vcyclenut. The Akrapovic exhaust is fully mounted on the R9 as anticipated. No issues. Just want to point out a couple things. One, there's these, my shadow over it, these two unique types of DB killers. I'll try them both. Didn't really mention in the manual or in the instructions anything for either of them. And then nitpicky me, but so there's two sensor bungs, one there, and then one on the backside on that primary tube header right there. And they gave inserts to put narrow bands in it, but they didn't give any covers or plugs to completely cover them. So those of us in the United States with one, or North America with one O2 sensor, you're going to need an O2 bung cap for one of them. My other complaint is look at the location of that, and it's right at the collector. Akrapovic knows better than this. I would much rather have it farther downstream and get a good mix, but it is what it is. But when they're right that close to the collector, especially at lower RPMs, they can sometimes give erroneous readings. So I'll get it up on the dyno, get some dyno numbers, I'll do all my street tuning and mapping for it, and let you know what I think. As usual, Akrapovic did a really nice job on this system. It has really reasonable sound levels, even without the DB killer in it. As you saw, the DB killer, like many Akrapovic DB killers, it did lower the tone at idle, riding a little bit. Cruising, it lowers it a little bit, but at full blast, they were all still greater than 130 decibels. I found it very pleasant to ride with it with no DB killer, and I'll show you in the dyno runs. It really makes almost no difference in the dyno runs. So run it how you want it, but I like it full blast. Bike runs really good with it. A little bit larger tubing than the old MT09 system, but really works well. Good mid-range, good throttle response, even at very low RPMs. And with the flash, it's just really night and day different, as we'll see with the dyno runs. So here is what Manny's R9 made stock on my dyno. And here's what I was able to achieve on the dyno with 100% stock bike, just with the flash. And you see we got nice gains all the way through. I do get a fair amount of people that reach out to me that assume that they have to modify their bike to get the most from the flash, and that's really not true. I have great flashes with mapping specific for the stock bike on any of the platforms that I flash. I always take the time to map them fully on stock, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. So let's look at what we get from the stock bike flash when we add the Akrapovic and my custom mapping specific for it. So again, this was the bike stock with just my flash is the red line. And now with the Akrapovic exhaust bolted on and my Akrapovic specific mapping or my flash, we gained almost a full 5 horsepower and almost 2 foot-pounds of torque. It's just as you would expect, really anywhere above 7 grand. It's doing much better. Really shows the gains at the top, and there's no area below what the stock pipe was able to accomplish. Again, showing that whole thought that you always lose power on the bottom when you install a good full exhaust is definitely not true. So let's look at where the bike started to where it is now. Again, the blue line was the bike all stock. The red line is now with the Akrapovic exhaust and my flash, and yeah, the gains are pretty significant, right? Everywhere. We gained almost a full 11 horsepower, got over that magic 120 horsepower number, and over 70 foot-pounds of torque. And that's just if we look at old peak versus new peak. But if we look out close to the old red line where the bike is still pulling pretty good, it's a full 16 horsepower above the old. So this whole area here, again, where you'd be going through the gears is just much better. Torque, the old peak torque of 64 foot-pounds, we are over that from 6,000 all the way out past 9,000. Just, again, the bike is just totally different. It's much smoother, just much more responsive, and smoother response at the same time. Cruising down the highway at like 65 miles an hour, the bike is super smooth with very little vibrations. It's amazing. It's one of the things I always notice when I go back and forth between the stock mapping and mine is how much smoother and less vibrations the bike has with proper mapping. So really improves the bike a lot. Good choice for exhaust if you guys can afford it and are looking for something that's a little less loud and more on the quiet side. I know some of the tracks are starting to put some decibel meters around them, so I can't guarantee that this wouldn't trip them off, but it's definitely going to be one of the more quiet ones. So I did mention that I ran the 3 different dB killers, so let's look at 2 different dB killers with that one run without, and the 2 different dB killers. Let's take a look at what they look like. So this, as you can see, look, we got, even with that longer dB killer, and we still popped over 120 horsepower. Even the shorter dB killer, which actually lowered the volume a little bit more, we still lost less than a horsepower. And this is typical with Akrapovic dB killers. They usually are very efficient and work pretty well. So thanks guys for watching. Remember to subscribe and the like button for more motorcycle related content. Head on over to Vcyclenut.com and very best for flashing needs. If you got your R9, let's get it tuned the way it should properly be tuned. I will keep adding content as I can for the R9. In the next couple days, I will put in the DNA Stage 2 lid with the Akrapovic, see how that works. And I'm hoping to have toast mid-pipe, and so I can get the toast mapped out before I give the bike back to Manny, who has been absolutely awesome. Thanks again, Manny, if you're watching this. So peace out, everybody. Safe riding. Rubber side down. Take care.